In this one, he won't be sitting up on the fence like that, because to me, this one wasn't much of a fence sitter. And I tried. And apparently the judge would disagree with me. But for me, it was just very one-sided. Before I show the story, I want to point out something that my lawyer said. And no, I'm not in any legal trouble, and I'm not doing anything baller enough to warrant having a lawyer. It just sounds a lot better than my university mate who did law. So my lawyer said, the story gets more views the more outrage they can drum up. So they will include certain quotes from judges that can be taken out of context, lack some other qualifying feature of the statement, or even misrepresent the quote as the reasoning in its entirety. And I bring that up at the start because even knowing that going in, some of these quotes are bullshit.
In a heart-stopping second, a nurse walking to work has her life changed forever. Jackson Williams grabs her around the neck, trapping her in a headlock. He drags her down a laneway off Little Lonsdale Street. She screams, but Williams covers her mouth as she is pinned to the ground. Desperately, she tries to fight him off. The terrifying struggle finally ends when the attacker is scared off by a passerby.
What do you think when you look at that footage? Dragged a woman off the street down a laneway?
Today, a judge ruled that in this disturbing vision, there's no evidence Jackson Williams intended to sexually assault the 39-year-old woman. He does not attempt to kiss the complainant or remove her clothing.
I just warned about out-of-context quotes, but f***ing hell, Mandy. What are you talking about? He didn't attempt to kiss her. No, I'm no expert on sexual assault, but I feel as though kissing isn't really a necessity. In fact, I feel as though assailants would often skip that step. It reminds me of a Jimmy Carr joke, which is definitely going to get this video banned, but I'm going to be about as good at sticking to YouTube guidelines as Jimmy Carr is to tax laws.
99% of women kiss with their eyes closed, which is why it's so difficult to identify a rapist.
Now, I know this joke is crude, and I know a lot of you won't find it funny, but the shock value comes from the obvious stupid correlation between romantically kissing with your eyes closed and the violent act of sexual assault. These two things don't have anything in common. But if this judge was watching Jimmy Carr's special, she'd miss the joke entirely and just go, yeah, it really does make things complicated. She does understand that this was assault and not a date. As you can see, he clearly had no sexual intentions as he didn't bring flowers. The victim even mentions she was biting the assailant's hand, so even if he did want to kiss her, you wouldn't kiss someone who's trying to bite you.
It was 6:30 in the morning and Williams had been lingering in the alleyway after a night out clubbing.
Lingering. He was lingering. How long do you think he was lingering in the alleyway before? And how many people do you think he passed by? Does the footage show him selecting anyone? Say, a female by chance?
The 21-year-old ran when an off-duty detective came to the victim's aid. Her blood-curdling shrieks were also heard by a passenger in a car driving by. Williams claimed the victim lost her balance, causing him to fall on top of her.
Well, she did lose her balance when he pushed her. He isn't wrong. He isn't wrong. She did lose her balance once he pulled her into an alleyway and pushed her down. She did lose her balance.
The woman told the court she was pushed and her attacker was so strong she tried to bite his hand to stop him silencing her screams. The Essendon district footballer pleaded guilty to one charge of assault over the 2018 attack. He remains on bail as he awaits sentence.
Oh, good. Good. Because of the cooties, it's been illegal to leave our house for 6 months, but I'm glad he's back out. Good. Okay, I'm definitely not that smiley little character sitting on the fence at the start, so let's try to take a look at the article and maybe we might see both sides a little bit. Taking a look through, it's mostly most of the same stuff. This is an interesting quote though. It is important not to approach the question from the point of view, what else would he have been intending, she said, as this risked reversing the onus of proof. It's important not to approach it this way. You know what, Judge Fox? I don't trust your judgment. In fact, when you say it's important not to approach the question like this, I think it's probably worth doing.
You can run, but you can't hide, bitch!
Hold on, Morty. You know what? He keeps saying we can run, but we can't hide. I say we try hiding.
But that's the opposite of what—
Yeah, well, since when are we taking this guy's advice on anything?
Was he trying to rob her? Well, did he grab at her backpack? No. Was he trying to kidnap her? Did he attempt to take her away anywhere? No. Was it footy practice? Did he have his balls and his shorts with him? No. Was he trying to kill her? Well, possibly, but did he show a weapon? No. Was he trying to sexually assault her? Or did he pull her into an alleyway? Yes. Did he push her and hold her down? Yes. Did he get on top of her? Yes. Did he kiss her? No. Well, looks like we're back to square one then. I believe for there to be a reasonable doubt, there has to be a reasonable alternative. How's the balls to be implementing more public cameras, contact tracing, drones videoing crowds for our safety, while simultaneously showing us that video footage does nothing for our safety? Now, I want to read a little bit of what my lawyer said, because I think it's worth not even paraphrasing, but just reading. Basically, the question comes down to whether Williams intended to sexually assault the victim. The assault part is clear from the survey footage, but whether there was an intent for that assault to be of a sexual nature was contested. Williams claims he couldn't remember the events, and therefore we can't rely on his statement to determine the answer of that. Realistically, the only way to determine this question is based off his actions. The judge states that it couldn't be proven without reasonable doubt that there was this intention, mentioning that the possibility of robbery or just assault were possible reasons for the attack. Actions were not consistent with the intention to commit a sexual offence against her. He does not attempt to kiss the complainant, the judge says. He does not attempt to remove her clothing or pull at her clothing or attempt to undo or remove his clothing. During the time he is on top of the complainant, he does not position his body as to separate her legs. Well, then what was he positioning his body to do? Anyway, her quotes really shit me. It's difficult to prosecute this sort of case. Proving the intent or motivations for an offence is exceptionally difficult, especially when the offender relies on the Daniel Andrews defence of "I do not recall." This particular offence is rare. Most of the time when people intend to sexually assault someone, they do sexually assault them. In this case, the judge has decided because the offender didn't do anything that constituted a sexual offence means there was no sexual intent. I don't think the judge made the right call on this. Looking at the footage, I think pretty much everyone would look at it and understand that he was trying to sexually assault her. The duration and nature of the attack is not consistent with what you would normally see of someone being robbed or just assaulted. I'd question whether the judge was right in asserting that there must be some action that is directly a proactive attempt to escalate the assault to that of a sexual nature. I would argue that attacking a woman and dragging her into an alley, attempting to silence her while pinning her to the ground and being on top of her before fleeing without any attempt to rob her is indicative of an intent to sexually assault her. God, I'm glad I have you as my lawyer. Now, I know I haven't really sat on the fence with this much, and I honestly did try, but the issue is that when you're sitting on the fence, it's nuanced. You're trying to think about all the possible options. What the judge was trying to do was not that. The judge is trying to say whether there is any reasonable doubt or whether there is not any reasonable doubt. And I would say her level of reasonable doubt is apparently far surpassed the general public. Because even if there's no footage of him trying to choose a target or no ripped clothing or no kissing, I honestly and truthfully cannot give a single other explanation for what he was attempting to do. In summary, this is one of the most predatory acts I've ever seen. I can't imagine the shock it would have caused her and the ongoing stress. You know, I get a little bit scared when I walk past an alleyway sometimes, so she would be just fearful every day from now on. And honestly, the idea that he doesn't remember it doesn't make it any better in my eyes. The judge talks about how he obviously didn't have a plan, but without a plan, if you can just go and pull a woman into an alleyway like that, then to me that's scarier. Another thing my lawyers brought up is it raises the questions of the appropriateness of judges-only trials. During the cooties time, these have been granted in a much wider variety of cases. No doubt seeing a lifetime of horrible things would increase the threshold for what shocks you. And I think in most senses, this would be a good thing for a judge to have. They could remove emotion from the situation and just see things logically. But I think it also clearly has faults. Just something else on the list of things f***ed up by ooh, cooties. Cooties. We don't say that word. That being said, I clearly didn't realize that last video, so if you'd like to see me talk about more things that were f***ed up by cooties, then click somewhere here. Cheers for watching. If you liked it, please do all the liking and subscribing stuff. It's my 3rd video, so if I got to 100 subscribers at the end of it, that'd be pretty sweet. Cheers.